Linux users are crazy. And I mean that in the best possible way. So today, we're going to be unpacking some of the 5 biggest paradoxes that I've experienced in the Linux and free and open source software world. Come on board for a good old time. And I want to just put it out there right at the start. I include myself in this as well. So if you start getting all offended, I'm offended too. Let's do this. Okay, so there are a bunch of crazy paradoxes that I find out there in the Linux world, in the free and open source software world, where it just doesn't make sense. And people on the outside looking in kind of wonder what we're on about a lot of the time. Now, I'm not talking about the ethos of free and open source software or anything like that. I'm just talking about weird inconsistencies, almost hypocrisies between what we love to see in the free and open source software world and how we actually behave. So here are some of these paradoxes. And the big one, the number one, I'm just going to get straight to the top of the list, is fragmentation. You hear about fragmentation everywhere in the Linux desktop world at the very least. Now, as we all know, there are a bunch of different choices out there with free software. One of the biggest boons of free software is the fact that there is so much choice. However, this also means a lot of fragmentation. So many users bemoan how fragmented the Linux world is, and outsiders looking in will go, Linux on the desktop will never succeed because it is so fragmented. But on the other hand, you have Linux users who are, and I think everybody in the comments section would agree, we are the fussiest people to please on planet Earth because we know we can change anything and everything about Linux, especially on the desktop with how we interact with it every day. So what does this lead to? It leads to us complaining about desktop fragmentation in the Linux world, and it also leads to us saying that our preference, our choice, the way that we have chosen to set up and run our Linux desktop is the way to go. You get hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of those combinations, and wow, all of a sudden we have fragmentation. This is the ultimate paradox of the open source world. We have the ability to change anything and everything, and so we do. If it doesn't suit you, fork it. And there's a number of ways that this plays out that I'm quickly going to drop out there. We need more centralized applications because the desktop is so fragmented that it's too hard for developers to make applications for every different distribution. Okay, let's come up with, I don't know, Flatpaks. Let's come up with snap packages, maybe app images. Yeah, but see, I prefer the performance and the stability and the elegance of my distribution's native package manager. Ladies and gentlemen, we have fragmentation. Okay, here's number 2. Privacy. Privacy is a big deal in the tech world today, and Linux users are probably more aware of the issues relating to privacy than others. And so when a operating system or a developer comes out with a particular piece of software that does not seem transparently privacy aware, we tend to poo-poo all over it. So a lot of Linux users absolutely hate Windows 10 with a passion because of the telemetry and other privacy invasive things that are enabled by default. We also really went nuts when Ubuntu included telemetry and Amazon affiliate links into their operating system by default because it was an invasion on our privacy. And yet, on the other hand, if we're all being honest in the real world, we almost all of us carry an Android phone that is far more invasive and privacy killing than any other device we could possibly own. And nearly all of us have a Google account, so at the very least, we can comment on this YouTube video below and tell me how wrong I am. And let's not even get started on Facebook, Spotify, Office accounts, and literally everything else that we have as digital users in the internet today. And even those of us who have seen the light and ended up buying an iPhone because it's more privacy aware, yep, Apple still owns your life as well. So privacy is a great thing. Definitely go and secure your browsers, lock away your children and your wife. Whew, I'm gonna get in trouble for that one. Use Firefox and a VPN and you'll be all right. By the way, stick around to the end of the video for a quick word from today's sponsor. All right, proprietary licensing. This is paradox number 3. As Linux users, most of the time we will only accept a new project if it includes some version of free and open source licensing, so it can be reused, the code can be analyzed. If it doesn't suit you, fork it. Now, this example that I'm about to make came out of a conversation that I had with Martin Wimpress a few weeks ago. Definitely go and check the link in the cards to go check out that conversation. But here is my example. So, Canonical, as a company that is trying to make Linux work on the desktop for over 15 years now, comes up with a very convenient way for people to create packages and develop their own applications for the Ubuntu desktop. They are commonly known as PPAs. And they have Launchpad.net as a way that developers can streamline their packages, publish them for the Ubuntu desktop, and away we go. However, a lot of people complained that when PPAs and Launchpad.net were first launched as a platform, that they weren't open source and they weren't able to be forked and analyzed and all that kind of thing. Well, to great effort, Canonical did actually eventually open source the platform. And yeah, basically nobody contributed to the platform at all. And so here we are again with Snap packages and the Snapcraft backend to Snap. Now, one of the biggest criticisms that I see leveled at Snap and Snapcraft as a platform for distributing apps is the fact that the proprietary licensing of the server on the back end is just not acceptable in an age of open source software. Heck, even Microsoft is saying they love open source now and they're trying to open source everything they own. We'll get back to that. But the paradox that I'm teasing out here is just because it's open source doesn't mean people legitimately give a hoot about what is in the source code or want to make contributions to it. They just want to see it open sourced. Hoping I'm not raising anyone's blood pressure too high here. I'm criticizing myself in all this as well. Paradox number 4, paying for stuff. When it comes to free and open source software and the Linux world in general, we hate paying actual dollars for anything, unless we're trying to promote a hardware vendor that ships our favorite Linux distribution, in which case we will happily pay a little bit more, actually a fair bit more, for that hardware because we want to support a hardware company that is shipping Linux on their computers. We think that's a good thing. However, paying a couple of bucks for software that's available for a free and open source platform, no, count me out. That is just despicable. How dare software developers ask money for the free and open source applications that they are developing. All the love in the world to System76, Entraware, Purism, all of those guys. We need you. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm just having a dig. And fifth and final, we preach about the value of freedom, the value of choice. And yet we criticize the heck out of every open source project for not doing things the way that we would like to see them done. I'm picking on Ubuntu here because they're the most relatable example, but oh, the Unity desktop, we're going to switch to the Unity desktop, a custom-made desktop shell that's meant to fit the needs of the 21st century computing. Nah, downvote. I want to see GNOME 2 be the default desktop environment. Oh, Unity actually turns out to be okay. So where does that leave us? Well, actually, now we're going to ditch Unity altogether and we're going to go to GNOME 3. What? GNOME 3? I wanted Unity back. No, I still want Mate as the default desktop environment. What is Ubuntu thinking? They're going crazy. This is probably the all-encompassing paradox of the free and open source world. We love freedom and we love choice, and yet we think we're always right. Okay, so that about wraps up my list of paradoxes in the open source world. I hope you had a bit of a giggle with me as well, and hopefully there's not too many irate users in the comments below. Hey, look, if you are concerned about privacy and you want to be able to stay secure online, then check out a word from today's sponsor, which is NordVPN. As most of you know, VPNs are a great way to add a layer of privacy and obscurity to internet browsing, especially when you're traveling or connected to public Wi-Fi. And when it comes to personal banking, booking flights, or just watching international Netflix, the fact that apparently 87% of people admit to doing these things while on public Wi-Fi without using a VPN is a bit of a worry. Obviously, no viewer of this channel wants to leave things to chance, so over the holiday period, NordVPN have a great offer for 81% off a 3-year plan, which works out to be the price of about a coffee per month. Also, you'll get 4 months for free, and NordVPN are even bundling in NordPass, their password manager, for free over all 3 years as well. NordVPN have a strict no logs policy, they have a 30-day money-back guarantee, and they've got simple extensions for all the major browsers, and DEBs and RPMs for simple setup on your favorite distro. So what's not to love? Check out the link in the description or go to www.nordvpn.com/infinitelygalactic and be sure to use code infinitelygalactic at checkout to receive this special offer. And thanks again to NordVPN for sponsoring today's episode. Well, that about wraps us up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like and share it around if you agree with this kind of ranty format, and we'll see what more can come of this in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you all in the next one. Peace.